Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. Subscribe now or else. This is a weird one because I got to tell the story. I was looking at Golden Political Cat, and he's posted similar videos to me at similar times. He's great. Go subscribe. I'll try to link his channel in the description. I shouldn't be saying that because I want to pass him, but we want to give ourselves a challenge, don't we? But he did his videos, Senate governor, similar times, but he also did a video on the House and redistricting. I thought before I do a House prediction, this is probably for the best because redistricting has changed the House a lot. This is what the House currently looks like. If you assign incumbent to the districts that they will represent, it's weird because there's been a lot of redistricting. This year has been unique in that Trump tried to get five more Republican seats out of Texas to boost Republicans' odds at winning the House. California responded in suit, Missouri responded, and North Carolina responded to California. Ohio's redistricted. It doesn't show it on this map, but Utah has also redistricted, and we're going to have a lot more states redistricting, if I had to guess. So I think we'll go through the states that potentially could redistrict, go over which incumbents are where, how each election will go. So first, the targets, and for this, I'm going to be filling them out as flips, but they don't necessarily have to flip. These aren't guarantees. The ones that are guarantees, and we'll start in Texas, are 1 and 2. Out of Houston and Dallas, respectively. Um, these two seats are all but flipping. They're about Trump plus 20 and short of the state at large flipping by over 5 points. These are going to be very hard for Democrats to win. These were drawn. It's different because these ones, there aren't really Democrat incumbents for it. Wikipedia doesn't even show an incumbent for these seats. They show it as either two Democrats in one seat in Houston or a Democrat and a Republican in a safe Republican seat um, in Dallas. So these seats kind of created out of nowhere because the Democratic PACs in the city absorbed more Democrat areas. A lot of the Republican seats absorbed more Republican areas. That's why you see a lot of districts kind of pointing inwards towards these urban areas because they have like the little tip of Democrat areas and then a lot of rural areas to balance that out. Um, Same thing here. A lot of them are swirling in to these urban areas. And also, I don't know why this is legal here. This is one district, this is another. That doesn't seem contiguous, but I mean, I guess. We also have here the 35th. I know that because it could be close, drawn out of the San Antonio suburbs and into some of the rural and suburban areas there. Probably shouldn't be competitive, but could be one to watch if Democrats continue to do well. And then you have these two Rio Grande Valley districts. One is Vicente Gonzalez, who was drawn out of Hidalgo County, which is ancestrally Democrat, and into the red areas of, I think it's Nueces County, Nuisance County. Minus the city, it's pretty Republican. So this went from about a Trump plus 4 seat, which he won by a whopping 2 to 3%, to about a Trump plus 10 seat. He probably ends up losing, though. If you see any sort of Hispanic version, he's got a chance. And then Henry Cuellar, who was drawn from a Trump plus 8 seat, which he won by 6, to a Trump plus 10 seat, which he probably also would have won by 6. He was drawn into Hidalgo County. The Republican legislature was kind of forced into a bad position where they had three options. Either this option, which they chose, um, have this, the 15th district, which is somewhat Republican, has an okay representative drawn exclusively into Hidalgo County, into like a Trump plus 3 seat or so, or draw 4 seats into the Rio Grande Valley. Eh, it'd be a little bit messy, so they just decided to give Henry Cuellar, technically Republican, but still not that Republican leaning. Hidalgo County, take him out of the San Antonio suburbs. There used to be a panhandle that went here that was relatively Democrat. The problem is he overperforms there, but just for the sake of argument, we're going to say that that seat ends up flipping because it was drawn to flip Republican. California responded in tandem. Now, this one's also weird. It, it's weird because they go like kind of half-ass in some areas. Like here, this is a half-ass seat. It really isn't that great. the drawing for Democrats, but then like also they successfully like eradicate Republicans in Orange and Riverside counties like pretty well. Um, this is fucking insane. These snake districts. And then over here, I just I mean, they drew it well, but like it's insane that they went so hard, like on the outskirts of the Bay Area in Sacramento, and then they just like cucked themselves out of like an easy seat um, in the Central Valley. If I were them, I would have drawn Valdeo in the 22nd into a pack here for Republicans, and then just drawn out all Republicans in the south of the state. But the idea is one Republican seat is instantaneously eviscerated. Because there's two Republican seats here, relatively narrow, like Trump plus two, Trump plus three. They're drawn into like a Trump plus 12 seat that's red or down ballot against each other. And then I really don't know which one is supposed to be the Democrat flip. It's like Texas, except Texas, there's like a pretty obvious seat that just appeared out of nowhere. Um, Over here, you kind of don't know. It just kind of fades out of existence. So I picked that one because I think that's it. Here, this one was originally a pack for Republicans. Out of the redder areas of San Diego County, the coast of San Diego is like 75-25 Democrat. But inland is very rural, very exurban. Pretty good areas for Republicans, and it went into Riverside County a little bit to pick up similar areas. This time, what they did was a lot of these areas are Republican, and they drew it into the city itself. So the area within San Diego is narrowly Democrat. Same thing with Riverside; they drew it into blue areas, so it's like a Harris plus three seat or so. But the intention is to get rid of the Republican. We'll just feel it as that. David Valdeo's seat is like barely touched. This goes from Trump plus six to still a Trump seat, but narrowly so. Out of Bakersfield, it picks up a bit more Democrat areas, and then you see like a few snakes into bluer area. It really is dumb, and like it's because this representative here, I forget her name, just refused to let the map be changed at all around her seat. Patriot saving the Republican House majority, but once again, the intention is to axe it. We'll pretend it's axed. And then here, they went brutal. Here, Doug LaMalfa, his seat is carved up into two. You have a seat that's based in the Bay Area but goes up to pick up some of the lesser Republican counties. Up here, lesser in population, but like overly Republican. And then here, drawn kind of into the Bay Area, picks up a lot of the rest of the Republican counties. It's about Harris plus 12. Probably should end up flipping. And Kevin Kiley is drawn into about a Harris plus 10 seat here, which has Nevada County, which is relatively blue, but not too many Republican areas to counteract that. This was originally a Trump plus three seat that was basically Nevada County, but a lot of Republican rural areas around it to combat it. Instead, a lot of those rural areas are taken out, given into some of the nearby districts, and replaced with inner city Sacramento, plus a lot of the suburbs. It probably should flip, though he is an overperformer and he could potentially win it. So that maintained status quo, and that was bad because neither side really wanted a status quo, and the can of worms was opened up. So what happened is then Missouri redistricted. Missouri cracked Kansas City, gave Republicans pretty much an insta-flip. Also shored up Ann Wagner here, but not by too much, because I guess they didn't want to like make Democrats mad or something. North Carolina, they drew Don Davis out. Technically, could still win. It could be close, but once again, the intention is to draw him out, and he kind of fucked it. He's drawn into very Republican areas. His home county is drawn into a district represented by a Republican, so either he abandons his home county and the surrounding areas, which he usually overperforms in, or he runs against a Republican incumbent, which isn't going to go great. And then Ohio also redistricted. Republicans showed Democrats a I think 13-2 proposal, one that, axed Marcy Kaptur's seat, the Snake on the Lake, Amelia Sykes, and the Cincinnati seat, and threatened them with that if they didn't accept this proposal, which is like kind of a moderate provision. So it shores up Democrats in one of their competitive seats, which just don't ask me why. I'm going to count as an intention to flip Kaptur's seat. And then Landsman's seat over here is supposed to be competitive. I think it's like Trump plus two or so. This is where I kind of screw myself over with the intention to flip rule. It's their intention to flip, like, probably, but I don't think they can get the job done there. And I think they understand they probably can't get the job done there. And then Utah, also a decision was handed down. I don't know if this is or like end of story. But Harris plus 24 district is being drawn in Salt Lake County, even though it could be closer with a good Republican candidate. Dare I say, even because of how Mormons vote, if Republicans really try in the district, it could be under 15 or 10. It's still pretty much an insta flip out of there. So this is where it stands, where Republicans have technically gained 2 seats, but it's more like one because Cuellar probably holds on. Um, and then out of these 3 seats, I probably see Republicans holding on to 2 of them. To be perfectly honest, though I could see them losing one. So out of Texas 34th, California's 48th, and California's 22nd, I, I think you see Texas 34th leading Republican, 48th leading Democrat, 22nd is a glorified toss up. So the status quo is about 221 to 214, a 1 point shift to Republicans. Now, Republicans have their big game change, or they have two in the VRA. If the VRA is struck down, really, it's only going to be Louisiana. They'll probably draw out like one, maybe 2 Democrat incumbents. I don't even know about that. I've heard rumors that the case could be decided by January, in which case, yeah, they have time. But if it's decided by when the Supreme Court usually decides cases in June, even assuming that a end to Section 2 of the VRA is guaranteed, which is not, probably leaning that way, but it's not. I really don't see anything coming of it. I think we're just going to ignore it for now. But Florida's also said they're waiting for a VRA decision. I think if Florida gets skittish that a VRA decision isn't coming by the time that their filing deadline is, they're just going to go about it anyways. Because not having a VRA makes it easier to do what they want to do, which is draw out 3 to 5 Democrats, but it doesn't make it impossible. So the way they probably do that is one, instantaneously the ninth is axed here. This is like a Harris plus 2 district with a Democrat overperformer, mind you, but it's very easy to draw this out, and it doesn't violate the Fair Districts Amendment, which is a problem for Florida Republicans. There's an amendment passed in, I think, 2010, which says that districts must be fair. It's very vague, but the general idea is that districts have to be compact, which means, honestly, even though it's been rumored, I don't think they can draw out the Tampa Bay pack for Democrats, even though it's only like Harris plus 15. Um, the surrounding areas aren't really that Republican, and short of making like 4 Trump plus 2 seats, which really isn't good heading into a midterm, I just don't see how they can get it done there. But out of Miami-Dade, or even Miami, South Florida, they can probably draw out 2 to 3 of these Democrats. Florida's 23rd. There's a chance that their incumbent Democrat, Jared Moskowitz, could get primaried. If he doesn't, I think he loses because I think that's pretty easy to draw into a Republican seat. This is or VRA district. So you really can't fuck with those. And then I think that I don't think Trump would accept 2, so I think they probably draw out one more. I think that's Debbie Wasserman Schultz over there. Hers is the easiest. That's also like a Harris plus 6 district. Not that hard. Especially since you have pretty Republican districts here. Like this district, even though it looks like it's a rural district, really is based in Miami County almost exclusive. Miami-Dade County almost exclusively is the Hialeah seat. Very, very Republican. Like R plus 40, and this one's D plus 6. You can average those out to like 2 R plus 15 seats pretty easily, and then you just collect all the Republican areas of these 3 districts into one district to make the 23rd Republican. This is a conservative estimate for what happens. It could be much worse for Democrats, especially if the VRA is struck down, and if Republicans want to, approach the edge of that Fair Districts Amendment. So that's probably it out of Florida. And then, for the most part, the rest is Democrat retaliation. There's been some rumors about New York. Democrats don't have a majority or a supermajority in the state Senate. That's kind of it because I don't see a path for them to move forward. Their primary is in June as well, which means they have to get a move on it. And Kathy Hochul really hasn't seemed to do anything to even make that a possibility. Maryland, I think their primary is in August, and besides for the state Senate leader, pretty much everyone seems on board making the map 8-0. So I think they probably are able to axe Andy Harris there. Virginia, Democrats are pretty committed to here. Obviously, you've seen one of their state senators, Louise Lucas, talking about a 10-1 map. I just don't see that happening. One, I've tried it myself. Of course, I fucking tried it myself. It's very hard and ugly and very risky, especially the final seat, which would be drawing out Ben Klein's seat. There's really no good way to draw it, but like easily you can draw out the first, you can draw out the second, you can shore up the seventh and tenth. And then McGuire, I'm 50-50 on whether they go for it, but I think there's enough pressure, especially from people like Hakeem Jeffries, to end up drawing him out. Um, so Virginia, I'm going to assume a net gain of 3 for Democrats, and that's even assuming that the referendum passes, which it might not. You saw a big blowback to Republicans in Virginia in 2025, but it's not guaranteed that that would happen again in a referendum. California, the referendum overperformed. That was mostly based on turnout. In Virginia, especially a lot of these states with high black populations, I'm not sure how much having these referendums in like May, which is when they would have it like May or June even, and push the primary back to like fucking October or something. I'm not sure how well black turnout would be for that. Though I could potentially see Nova coming out with a vengeance. I'm just going to assume it passes. So tentatively, a net gain of 3 for Democrats there. Then move on to Illinois. Illinois is hard because their filing deadline is passed. Illinois is one of the earliest primary. If I'm not mistaken, Illinois is the earliest primary state. 2026 primary calendar. The National Conference of. Let me just go to 270 win. Uh, Illinois is March 17th, which is the Arkansas, North Carolina, Texas, Mississippi are first, which is another problem for Republicans with the VRA. Mississippi's filing deadline has passed. They can push that back only so much. But Illinois, the filing deadline has passed to file a run for office, and you've seen the entire congressional delegation come out in support of redistricting the maps, but it's going to be hard. They have to walk a very thin line, not dilute any of the VRA districts. These districts already packs as it is. They'd be eliminating a seat that's like 65-35. That's actually overstating Democrat support, like 70-30 Republican in Darren LaHood, and endangering a lot of incumbents, especially if the state continues to trend right. I'm going to err on the side of caution. If I see it happen, I see it happen. But as of now, for Illinois to redistrict, you have to move back the filing deadline, get everyone on board, draw a pretty fucking good map. While appeasing the Black caucus and whatever Latino caucuses there are, and not diluting their vote share, and just hope and pray that Illinois has a blue wave in 2026, which I'm not sure about. Wisconsin, there's kind of pending litigation. It's hard because the Supreme Court the Supreme Court struck down the old congressional maps. They also tossed away a challenge to the congressional maps earlier, but they did let it litigate in lower courts. There's a chance that they could make the maps from 6-2 to 4-4, but we heard the exact same thing in 2024. Nothing came of it. And I just really don't see it with the timeline that we have now. We're getting down to crunch time. There's not too much time left to redraw the maps. Like, in 2024, like January and February was like it for drawing maps. You weren't seeing like maps being drawn in like June and July, which is some of the timelines needed for some of these maps. So I seriously doubt it gets struck down. In Indiana, I'm not sure. There's a big focus on Indiana by the GOP trying to get them to redraw. I still have a feeling that they're going to draw out at least one Democrat. I don't think they go 9-0. I really don't think that's on the table anymore. And I think the question now is whether the map stays at 7-2 or goes to 8-1, but I think probably it ends up 8-1 at the end of the day. New Jersey also is a potential, it's a maybe, but the thing in New Jersey, the problem is Democrats already gerrymandered the state to hell and back. Realistically, the state should probably have a 5-7 delegation, with Republicans being able to tie it in a pretty good year for them. So, I mean, you could potentially like knock off 2 Republicans. I just really don't see it, especially since one of those Republicans is already in a swing seat. And like these areas in South Jersey aren't that Democratic, especially after 2024. Like, it's definitely going to be hard. For Democrats to redistrict New Jersey. And then I don't know if there's any other options for redistricting at some point. Colorado seems somewhat likely to in 2028. Oregon was a potential It really didn't work out whatsoever. Here's the problem: is that the gerrymandering edge is already with Democrats. So like, with a full out like assault like this, Republicans were always going to win. And this is already with Republicans going relatively easy on Democrats. If Virginia doesn't end up redistricting, which it probably does, to be fair, but there's a chance that referendum could fail. Um, Seeing as, someone like Jay Jones outperformed Harris by like, what, 0.2%? And the referendum and polling was running about even with Mayara's. With heightened black turnout for 2025. If you see black turnout go down, which is like 20% of the state, or maybe not that much, but if black turnout went down like the level I would expect for a referendum, that would be a pretty close race, which would indicate a pretty close race for any potential referendum in Virginia. Plus, I see Virginia being much more suburban heavy, being more opposed to redistricting than something like California. We're waiting on the VRA to see what happens there. Indiana, they could draw out to potentially. I guess Kansas, probably not. Maryland, it could still fail. If the state senate president wins out. Ohio, I guess you could take down Landsman. I don't really see it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Florida could go much harder if I haven't mentioned that already, but I'm losing my mind. But Florida, especially if the VRA is stuck down, you could potentially see a map like this if they really want to go at it. But as of now, it seems like the gerrymandering stuff could be coming to a close. We'll reopen this in 2028, and it'll be reopened in 2028 because especially if the VRA is struck down, and I think I'll indicate these as leans 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think the Georgia GOP would draw out another in Atlanta. 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of there, at least, assuming Texas doesn't go back for more and Florida doesn't. I think if the VRA is overturned, Florida would draw out at least one more. Um, so what? That's a solid 11 seats. Um, Missouri could even go for 8-0, especially if a state like Maryland is going to be 8-0. That's 12 more seats for Republicans. And assuming Democrats can do their magic in Colorado, that's an extra potential 3 seats for them out of there. Oregon, an extra seat there. Trying to think. Illinois, they could pass it by then. I really don't see them going for anything more than one more seat, though, because if they go for 2 seats, like, they're going to lose those in a year bluer than, like, or a year redder than, like, R+1. Um, Pennsylvania, you really can't do much there, even if you get a trifecta. New York, I mean, you could. It's hard because it'd be very hard to draw out Staten Island, but you could make that like a narrow, like Harris +2 seat or something. Long Island, if you make it like especially brutal and like Snake District into the city, you could draw out one of those incumbents. Um, Potentially Lawler, you could axe. Is the problem. Democrats going like full measure just doesn't hit as hard. After the VRA is gone. I guess Washington, you could draw out one more incumbent. Wisconsin, both of those seats could end up hitting because I think it's a matter of time before they draw like a less biased map because the map really was biased in 2010. It wasn't really biased at the end of the 2010s, like Trump era, because like 5-3 with the swing seat out of the first, like, oh, okay, that's fine. But now it's become biased again. I think you got a problem there. For Republicans, Minnesota be hard. It would be hard, but maybe one seat. I'd say no, but yeah, you could see a lot more redistricting in the future. But just for the sake of making this make a little bit more sense, I'll just get rid of these, you know, potential seats here because I don't want someone to come in and be like, well, you didn't mention how New York Democrats don't have a supermajority because I swear to fucking God, I know that. I'm not that stupid. You don't have to repeat that to me. People think they're so smart. The Buckies of the world. Yeah, I made a Bucky joke. I'm sorry. People who know. Those who know. But people think they're so smart, and no, that hurts my ego. That makes me sad. I don't like that. But anyways, yeah. Redistricting kind of coming to a close. A bit of a wash. I'd say Republicans net gained narrowly. The VRA is the wild card here, but I'm gonna err on the side of nothing ever happens. If we go for confirmed redistricting, which actually probably is for the best, if we just focus only on confirmed redistricting, that's what I should use the leans for. Whoa, whoa, genius! I am a very intelligent individual. But if we go only for confirmed redistricting, it's the same. Virginia balances out Florida, Maryland, Indiana. It's perfect that way. And Virginia could go more brutal, 10-1. Florida could go more brutal. I mean, they could give Democrats like only 2 seats if they really want. Um, Florida GOP is crazy enough to do it, is the funny part. Um, and of course, some of these seats shaded as flips aren't insta flips, especially 1, 2, maybe 3 in Texas, and then 1, 2, maybe 3 in California. And there's much more to come because some of the seats, like I guess Cincinnati could be considered a flip. I don't know, but it's a wash, and it's like I've been saying, and I'm right, like always. Um, Redistricting is not a reason for the GOP to win the House. The GOP was going to have to win or get very, very fucking close without redistricting in the House for redistricting to put them over the edge. The problem is Trump hasn't governed well enough to win the House outright. So the GOP is stuck with that. And could he be saved because the opposition to Trump is comprised of idiots? Yeah. I mean, you saw a very well fought campaign in New York for Republicans. You saw a localized wave where Republican aligned candidates won, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe another district. Trying to think where else Cuomo won. 1, 2, 3, 4. You saw a pretty big GOP overperformance in places like Saratoga, which is like kind of right here, Saratoga Springs. You could potentially see that flip. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Spoiler: I think New York's third flips because it's a Trump +4 seat, um, which probably disapproves of Mamdani by like 30%. Where Republicans didn't contest and got an under 4. It was hot take, hot take. I don't think that's good math when statewide is probably going to be closer than 10 at the end of the day, no matter what. And that district probably votes Republican um, by at least six. I didn't even mean it. At least like 6 or 7 for governor. So, anyways, uh, just wait. Teehee. Just wait for the next video. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Bye.